Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Homestead. My name is Rachel if you're new around here, and I've got a little helper with me today because she is teething and she does not want to be put down. But that doesn't stop me from bringing you guys an exciting video. If you've watched some of the other YouTube videos about saving tomato seeds, it might be a little bit overwhelming, intimidating. It was for me when I watched some of them where you had to ferment them for a specific amount of time after you cleaned them and did all these different steps with them. It was quite a lot to do. This method I learned from my father-in-law. I kind of twisted it a little bit because he does clean up his seeds a little more than I do. I am definitely a lazy gardener. I don't have a lot of time to spend doing a lot of things. So this way of saving tomato seeds is so simple and easy. It does not require a lot of thought. But first, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And let me get right into it. So you really don't need a lot of things. Some paper towels or a paper plate, your tomatoes, and a knife. That's all you need. So easy. So let me just talk about the tomatoes really quickly. This tomato is a Dr. White Cheese. I've heard it pronounced a few different ways, but that's what this one is. We have some little cherry tomatoes. These are your Chadwick tomatoes. We have a Roma tomato here. We have another Dr. White Cheese. This one's smaller and it even has some bug damage. That's okay. We have a Brad's Atomic Grape. Look at these anthocyanins in this tomato. Isn't that so pretty? When we first planted these ones, it was our first year planting these. I didn't know when they were ripe because they were just so dark from the sun. But then we found out they turned a little bit orange here, and that's when they were ready. And then I have a green tomato, completely underripe, and I'm gonna explain about this one. So like I said, this is so simple and easy. There's only a few things that you have to remember. One thing is your tomatoes have to be ripe. So these tomatoes are extremely ripe. They've been inside for a few days after I picked them. This one is kind of ripe, but I would actually let this go a few more days. This one is completely not ripe at all. It is a green tomato that fell off the plant. I can put this up in my windowsill and see if this will ripen. It probably will, but we can't save seed from this. You have to have a tomato that is quite ripe for the seeds to be developed enough to actually save. So that's one of the major important things to remember when you're saving seeds. So you want a tomato that's really ripe. This one, I would still let go a few days. So this one right here though is extremely ripe. The first step, really complicated. Take a paper towel. The next step, I'm gonna have to put her down for this. We'll see if she'll be happy for a minute. The next step is cut open your tomato. I'm gonna show you guys the Dr. White Cheese tomato. Okay, in this tomato, you can see there's some bug damage, but there's also little pockets of seeds right here. So what I'm gonna do, come down to my paper towel and I'm gonna squeeze out the seeds. It's okay if you get some of the juice, that is not a big deal at all. You can even use your knife, kind of scrape some of these out. You can see these seeds on here. And some people will say you need to scrape these around and get that little gel off of there. I feel like all that stuff is just so unnecessary. We've been saving seeds this way for 5 years and we have had great success. This year we grew over 300 tomato plants. My father-in-law has done something similar to this for decades. Now he does clean up his seeds a little more than I do. He'll take the seed and wipe it around and that little like gel-like thing can come off. And there you go, you've got a nice clean seed. You don't need to ferment it. So if you are more OCD, if you like things a little bit cleaner and neater, you can totally do it that way. But I've even just left them like this, goop and all, and I leave them overnight for a few days. And let me show you my counter over here. Look at all these. This is what my counter ends up looking like this time of year. So right here I have some other Dr. White Cheese. You can see it is totally a mess. But I have a bunch of seeds all over the place here. These seeds are awesome. They are perfectly fine, ready to be planted. And I just take a fingernail and pull it off. You could take a butter knife and flip it off. I was even talking to my sister-in-law about this method, and she says she does the exact same thing. And she doesn't even bother like taking them off the paper towel, which we have done as well. And we take the paper towel, we can fold it up, Ziploc baggie, and it's ready to go for next year. And when I go to plant it, I just take it out, take my fingernail, pull off a seed, put it right in the dirt. It's that easy. Now, if you don't want to store the paper towel, if you don't want to store the goop like this, then you can pull each one off. It's totally fine. Put them in a container that you like. It works just as well. But because I'm a lazy gardener, I don't mind them being on a paper towel just like this in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and I'll just label the whole bag 2019. That's how I save it. To help me in the future, I will label this. So this was a Dr. Wyche. I'll write the name down here on the corner with a pencil, a pen, a Sharpie, whatever I have laying around. But it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, with everything going on this last year and companies running out of seeds, it might be a worthwhile endeavor for you to save your own seeds this year, because you don't know what next spring is gonna look like, right? So this way, I hope you guys will give it a try. It is so simple and easy. Anybody can do it. If you have a paper towel or even a paper plate, you can do that. I'm gonna show you guys one more time. So this one, we're gonna do a Chadwick. I'm just gonna write CD because we don't do a lot of varieties of tomatoes. So I know exactly what the CD is. Wait, CW. It's a Chadwick. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, CW. I take my tomato, I cut it open. Let's see if I can get all this goodness. Look at all those seeds. Isn't that amazing? You know, fruits are just so amazing to me. How they're created, the design of them. One tomato can produce this many seeds, which each one of these seeds has the possibility of being a plant in and of itself, producing so many more, excuse you, so many more tomatoes. It's mind-blowing to me. They can be so prolific. That's it. So I squirted out the seeds. I spread them around with my knife. Look at all those tomato possibilities. Isn't that awesome? So now I'm just gonna let this sit, leave it here for a few days, and when I'm ready, I'll come back to it. I'll either decide to pull them off, or maybe I'll be lazy that day too and just fold them up and store them away for next year. Just make sure your seeds are totally dried out before you store them. If they're not totally dried out, then you can possibly have them mold in storage, which is not okay because those seeds won't do well trying to be planted. Something else that is super important is to save your seeds in a cool, dry place. I know some people like to put them in the fridge. Some people like to put them even in the freezer. I don't do that. I store them in paper bags or plastic bags and keep them down in a dark place in my basement. We don't live in a high humid climate, so it works just fine for us. But you'll have to see how your climate is. Maybe you need to store them somewhere else. But that is it. It does not have to be complicated. Here's some beefsteak tomatoes that I saved from this past week. Here's some Kellogg seeds that I saved. I think that was just this morning because they're still a little damp, but they're drying out. Some other Chadwick seeds. Here I've got some watermelon seeds. These don't stick really. But look at all those possibilities. Isn't that so fun? And a cool thing is you don't have to waste an entire tomato saving seeds. If you have like a top or a bottom that kind of looks a little yucky and you cut this open, there'll be seeds right in that bottom or that top where maybe it's 5-10 seeds, but you can still save those seeds. So don't waste any seeds, even if it's a part of the tomato that that you're not gonna eat. Or like when I cut this core out of the top, I might accidentally get some seeds because this is a funky shaped tomato. And if I get some seeds, I'll make sure I save those. So don't feel like you have to waste an entire tomato just to save a lot of seeds. And even though this Chadwick doesn't have tomato seeds, it still tastes really good. Let me know down in the comments below if you are saving seeds this year, if you grow a garden, if you want to start growing a garden, if you're intimidated by the other videos of fermenting, and you know, some people say you have to do it a certain way, and I like to challenge that. Some people will say this won't work, but it's worked for us for the last 5 years. Sometimes you see stuff online where it's like, you can't plant this way, or you can't put these two plants near each other, or you have to plant this one plant 20 feet away from this other one, or it's not gonna work well. Well, I like to challenge that sometimes. We like to experiment with different things. So I hope you guys will give this method a try and let me know if you succeed just like we have. And I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye now.